Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Christ and TK over in Port Allen, Louisiana at Court Street Cafe, just across the Mississippi River Bridge from downtown Baton Rouge. I'm joining you from the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios, and we're presented by L'Auberge Casino, where they are celebrating Mardi Gras all the way till tomorrow night. Some great concerts and stuff coming up at L'Auberge Casino, so go check that out. This weekend, LSU college baseball all underway. Raging Cajuns win a big series on the road against the Rice Owls. The LSU Tigers take care of business, sweeping Western Michigan. And we've got some reaction to that as I was at a couple games. Tommy was at a couple games. And we'll tell you our thoughts on LSU baseball, LSU basketball. If you haven't gotten on the bandwagon by now, I don't know what more to tell you. You're running out of time. 14-4-1. We are 14-4-1 betting against LSU basketball in the last 19 games against the spread. LSU at home, Tommy, was a 7.5 point favorite, and they got beat. And they never were led in the game, and it was brutal. They got beat by South Carolina handily, even as a 7.5. And you said on Sports George Radio on Saturday morning, maybe the money line's the play. But I was like, hey, let's just not get greedy. Let's stay with the system that's been winning all year long. Let's just get that plus 7.5 if you're on the South Carolina side. Of course, there's a part of me at the end that went, would have liked that 250 plus 250 on the money line, but still. You still got a chance, folks. There's still a couple games left. Women, they win on the road. They hang a 90 spot on the road at Florida, and they win in impressive fashion, scoring 90 on the road. And now they'll take on Vanderbilt next. But the LSU's men will be in action when, Tommy?
Wednesday night, they host Vanderbilt. Women are at Vandy on Thursday. So it's Vanderbilt week.
Right. Anyway, it's just incredible that LSU basketball continues to do what they do. NBA All-Star Game was in full effect.
Roddy, did you see any of that?
I saw the dunk contest highlights.
Okay, no. The All-Star Game, let me just tell you, it made 2 years ago's Pro Bowl look like real football. It was the most pathetic thing ever as far as it was a farce for the game of basketball. And I get it. Nobody wants to get hurt. Guys are shooting, Ronnie, I'm not kidding. Guys are shooting 35 and 40-foot jumpers.
Half
and making them, okay? And then LeBron tried to play defense one time, hurt his hand. He crammed it up on the rim trying to block somebody's shot, and the rim got him between here, and he had to sit out the rest of the game, So, I don't know what made him think he was going to try to block. It's the only block attempt of the whole day, but that's LeBron, okay? He's got to put himself into the story.
It's just Harlem Globetrotters basketball is all it is.
Well, Harlem Globetrotters actually played more of a basketball game than what was seen last night.
I will say that you remember the movie with White Men Can't Jump, right? Famous movie from 30 years ago. McClung proved that white men can jump and won the dunk contest with the Philadelphia 76ers. Mostly plays in the G League. And he's been on YouTube videos, and he's been on social media for years with the dunks and stuff. And he went out there and wowed the crowd, and did a couple of dunks that were different. That's the problem. Is nowadays it's so hard in 2023 in a dunk contest to do something original that hasn't been tried and done already. You think back to 35 years ago, Michael Jordan's taking off from the foul line, and we're, cocking it back by his ear, and we're oohing and on. And, now all of them can pretty much do that, right? And it's about what's next. And so McClung came up with some different skills, and so he saved it for a little while. I always enjoy the 3-point contest. Damian Lillard won that one, which is about right. He's a fantastic shooter. But the All-Star game, listen, I'll still take the NBA All-Star game, Tommy, over the NFL crap. I honestly.
They're competing to see who's worse. But this McClung guy, you talk about a meteoric rise. I mean, Guys in the G League 10 weeks ago, nobody ever heard of him, okay? And now he's, boom. But so that's cool for him. No question about that.
We always this time of the year have the argument against the best. I mean, clearly baseball is the real deal. Even hockey is a high-scoring affair where they don't really want to check or hit much. And then you've got, obviously, football and basketball, which is a farce. At least in baseball, it's real. You know, you might not like the uniforms. You might not like that the winner gets home field in the World Series.
Well,
You might not like
they stopped that. So
they did do the World Series thing. Thank God. But you know, it's still real baseball. I mean, you know, you got mano a mano, guy in the box, the guy pitching's trying to pitch and win as best, just like a regular season game.
yeah, I mean, baseball is the closest thing to really what they do, and I get it, the money that's involved. And if you're an owner of an NBA team, you don't want your guy, you know, blowing up an ankle, you know, in an All-Star game when you're trying to make the playoffs and the money. I mean, I understand. But you know, and it was a spectacle. I mean, you know, I saw somebody tweet, you know, because they did the draft of the players like right before the game, like Giannis and LeBron. Somebody said, you know, because it was dragging a little bit. Somebody said this game ain't gonna start till midnight. You know, I mean, now obviously it started before that, but you know, Ronnie, I used to love to watch the NBA. I went to many of New Orleans Jazz games as a high school kind of guy and whatnot. I just can't watch the NBA anymore.
All right, so I'm going to do something on this show we've never done before.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to talk NASCAR for a minute. All right. Yesterday was the Daytona 500. And I guess it's because, you know, like I told you, Tommy, I got into the Formula One, you know, racing due to the Netflix series F1. And so maybe this is like a little spinoff of it. But yesterday was the Daytona 500. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won it. He's been a meteoric driver for 14 years. It was like his third victory, his first Daytona 500. And it was the longest one. They had a bunch of cautions and different things. And he went over 500 miles, over 12 laps further than any race in the past over at Daytona. But Brad Daugherty, who was a great basketball player in college at North Carolina and then in the NFL, I mean, in the NBA for a long time, he became the first black owner of a car to win the Daytona 500. He's a single car. It was like the first single car owner in years because all he has is one car. A lot of these owners have multiple cars. He's got one car. You got a minority owner and a really good guy, Brad Daugherty, who does an excellent job as a commentator on racing. If you watched him on stuff for years on ESPN and racing channels, and then he's got a female partner. So first, you know, black owner, first female owner to win the Daytona 500, and this was like a Hail Mary. I mean, you're talking about a Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is just, you know, kind of a over the hill, kind of his better days are past him type driver to win the Super Bowl of racing. Kind of a cool story. So there you go. There's your NASCAR Minute presented by Court Street Cafe in Port Allen.
There you go. Hey, I knew that Stenhouse Jr. won. I saw the headline. I didn't click the article, though.
Let's talk LSU baseball. The Tigers win. They do it in mediocre fashion, I think. And look, I think if LSU was ranked number 9 in the country, number 8 in the country going into this weekend, we'd be like, yeah, okay. They swept. They shut them out 10-0 on Friday. They gave up, 4 runs, I think, all weekend long, something like that? 5 runs all weekend long. Like, okay, yeah, I mean, great. Did good. But because they're number 1 and because there's this expectation that, you know, Western Michigan had a losing record a year ago, not a good team, who literally got on a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday because their flight was canceled and had to drive on a bus from Kalamazoo, Michigan, all the way to Baton Rouge to then find out, hey, your game time is now not 6 o'clock on Friday, it's 3 o'clock on Friday. All of that said, I thought LSU was going to win like 40 to 7 over the course of the 3 games. And as it turns out, the Tigers scored 24 runs, I think it was, over the weekend. So it was a little, and then Tommy Tanks hurt his shoulder. His shoulder popped out, diving back to the bag after a base hit in the first game, and so he didn't have him the whole weekend. So your lineup obviously looked a little different without him in there. I thought it was very good as a dominant performance, but the expectation is so high for this team that I felt it watching this team.
Well, it's almost like you expect every guy at the plate to get a hit, and you expect everybody to throw a no-hitter, and that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. But, no, and I enjoyed being out there yesterday. It was a beautiful day, huge crowd, north of 8,000 actual attendance, is my guess, and I've been out there enough. I can make a pretty good guess. But, no, it's quite a baseball team. There's no question about it. Everybody knows that. A bunch of us sitting around before the game talking, and, hey, everybody, yeah, man, if they don't go to Omaha, if they don't win it all, So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Ronnie. The expectations for Jay Johnson in year 2 are through the roof. And rightfully so. I mean, they got arms, they got pitching, they got hitting, they can play defense. Did not make an error all weekend. 0 errors. Now, that's something that was a problem last year, especially early in the season. But they did not make an error. And, the pitching, they're supposed to dominate Western Michigan. Let's get that off the table now. Right. They're supposed to dominate Southern tomorrow, which is the 2 o'clock first pitch. But you still got to go do that, I mean, Western Michigan had a guy hit a pinch hit bomb off of Blake Money. So, I mean, they got some guys that can play baseball, but they're nowhere near LSU. So LSU basically did what they were supposed to do.
First couple quick observations. Paul Skeens is the real deal, everything you expected. The first 2 pitches were 99 plus miles an hour. His 98th pitch was 98 miles an hour, 12 strikeouts, 1 walk in 6 innings on Friday. Christian Little looked solid in relief. Remember, Christian Little's a guy that we thought might be battling to be in the rotation. They think he's probably his better days may be as a reliever. Little's the kid that transferred from Vanderbilt. They were dominant on Friday night. Offensively on Friday night, the Tigers, they got 9 hits, I think, in that one. No homers on Friday night in their opener, a little bit of a surprise, but Dylan Cruz got a couple hits. It was interesting to see the starting lineup. No Dugas on opening night, although he hit 2 home runs, one Saturday, one Sunday. So I'm sure he'll be in that lineup now. And then with Tommy Tanks out, they put Dugas at second, and they were able to put Napolt at third. But Brady Neal got to start behind the dish on Friday night. We were wondering if it was going to be Milazzo. In fact, it was Neal, the outstanding freshman who would be who was very good. That was on Friday night. Tommy, the story of Friday was not that it was Friday night. It was that it was Friday evening. 3 o'clock start. It was the decision made sometime right before noon on Thursday. Very controversial one. Why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, like you pointed out, a lot of parents of these players who were flying in from out of town, they couldn't change flights, and some of them missed the start of the game. I read that one set of parents missed like 2 hours of the game, and the game was every game was under 3 hours this weekend. That's a plus. But no, I guess it's hindsight's 2020. But they had to do that over again. They wouldn't change that. You can't do that opening day, at Alec Box Stadium. That's just not what you do for your LSU baseball. I mean, they've played in a lot colder temperatures than it was Friday evening. I mean, again, I don't know if Jay Johnson will ever comment on it, but I think
he supposedly apologized. He did apologize.
Oh, did he? Okay. I mean, again, kind of like you said, okay, we got 10,000 people's money already. We just go play when we want. It might get a little chilly. Paul Skeens, we got to protect him, and I get all that. But, for the opening day, you got to be smarter than that. For the fans. LSU's got the greatest fans in college baseball in America, and there are a lot of great fan bases. When you look around at Arkansas and Mississippi State, and we go down the list. But, you can't do something like that. I mean, if you do it a week before, if you want to have every opening, you said this on the radio, you want to have every opening day from now to eternity at 3 o'clock, because 9 out of 10 times, February the 17th, it's going to be chilly or cold or rainy. Then go ahead and do it. But to do that 24 hours before, again, I think if they had it to do all over again, they would certainly change their mind. Now, Ronnie, I was out there yesterday. Let me just tell you, that home run that Cruz hit to right center was a missile. It was a missile, Ronnie. I was, where I was sitting. I was in coach's seats, and when it came off the bat, I went, and I always, like a good announcer would do, I immediately look at the outfielder. That's going to tell me, if the outfielder's on his horse, then the ball's hit well. If he's drifting, it's not hit well. The outfielder took like 4 steps to stop the center fielder because it was just a missile out of right center. And, hard to do at this time of the year and to go oppo. That's why Dylan Cruz is the best player in America.
I thought the story of the weekend for me, besides the Dugas hitting 750 in 2 games and stuff like that, which and entrenching himself in the lineup for a while, and that's good to see, right? You'd love to have a 5th-year senior type guy, be a good player, and he led the SEC in RBIs 2 years ago when he had 18 homers. He batted over 300 last year, just didn't hit as many homers, and now they say he's healthy, and it showed. I'm glad for him. He's a great story, Louisiana kid. You want that to happen. But Brady Neal was a guy that we didn't know a whole lot about, and there was a bunch of guys trying to catch. And Brady Neal started all 3 games this weekend. He's a 5'10", 185-pound freshman from Tallahassee, Florida, went to IMG, was voted the #1 catcher in the state of Florida last year out of high school, #2 in the country, was drafted by the Brewers in the 17th round, but because he had a high number. But they love him. He hit 600 for the weekend in his opening weekend in college baseball. This is a guy that could technically have another year of eligibility for high school. Came out early, and is his throwing is going to get better the older and the bigger and the stronger he gets. But the hitting and the poise and everything, like, super impressive. Now Milazzo is the best defensive catcher on LSU's roster, and it's pretty clear when he's in there how good he is. But what Neal does for you offensively and all around is better than Milazzo. So I think you're going to see that combination of Neal, unless Neal hits a stretch where he gets banged up, or maybe they figure him out a little bit. You're going to see Neal be the guy. Milazzo come off the bench in the later innings when it's a close game to give you that defense for the last couple innings. But he was impressive.
I'll tell you who impressed me, Ronnie. Jared Jones, the freshman out of Marietta, Georgia, who DH'd yesterday when I was there. This kid's bigger than big. This is I didn't realize how big he was, so I'm looking yesterday. I mean, this dude's big and he can hit. Can't really run, but that kind of comes with being that big sometimes. But I was impressed with Jones, and Trey Morgan didn't have a hit all weekend, but he'll snap out of that. He's too good of a ball player not to snap out of that. But he hit some balls hard yesterday. He hit a rope to right field right at the guy, either his first or second at bat yesterday.
Jared Jones, the freshman out of Marietta, Georgia, hit 500 for the weekend. True freshman. They've got him listed at 6'4", 230. He might even be a tad bigger than that with the LB.
He hadn't seen 230 in a while.
Yeah, he looks like he could play tight end or something like that, or defensive end as a football player. And that's, look, we just mentioned 2 guys. They're both freshmen. The Jones, the catcher, Kling, and the outfield. Like the Mount. Not only are they really good this year, and they're preseason #1 in all the polls and everything like that, and but when they lose Cruz and they lose Morgan and they lose Dugas and they lose Joe Bear because of eligibility, and they lose Milazzo, they're going to just reload. One, they're going to always recruit. They're already got guys lined up. They're going to always recruit. But they've got dudes right now on this team that are playing and getting experience, man. The future is just – they're so stacked right now. It's great. Outside of him, how about Riley Cooper? Funny story, Riley Cooper did not give up a hit in his 5+ innings of work on Saturday. 4 pitches, didn't throw a fastball. I think he might have hit a 91 once or twice. But for the most part, he's 88 to 90 with the fastball. Riley Cooper listed at 6'2", 270. And I want to say I'm glad LSU has Riley Cooper, because a lot of people, look, I was listed at 6'5", my freshman year 240, my sophomore year 245, my junior year 250. Tommy, I never was 240, 245, and 250. I was always about 260, 265, 270, might even get 275. So you always lie a little bit if you're a small guy, you add an inch. If you're a big guy, you take off a couple pounds, whatever it is, right? So if Riley Cooper is listed at 6'2", 270, we can safely say he's 6'1 and a half, 285, right? And so I'm glad there's a hefty lefty, and they don't have to go back in time and try to pull up my pictures, although I got to be honest, no shade to Riley Cooper. I was more of a football body than a David Wells body, okay? But Riley Cooper, that said, even though he looks like a 35-year-old, 10-year veteran reliever, had a real nice mix going on Saturday. I'll be curious to see if they leave him in the starting role long term. I think, Riley Cooper was a guy who threw in, seemed like just about every game last year. I think he's more valuable being your go-to guy coming out of the pen with a rubber arm all the time, getting there, as opposed to, I don't know that he's Saturday in the SEC these days.
Well, we'll see how Wes Johnson and Jay Johnson handle that going forward. That'll be an interesting observation, no question about that. By the way, Ronnie, just for record's sake, my senior year, 6'3", 225 in the program.
There you go. Jay Johnson loves Riley Cooper. Remember when he came over to Arizona?
Partners.
He had the most appearances of any Tiger a year ago. He's already game 2. They give Riley Cooper the ball, even though you got some other dudes with big flame throwing arms and stuff like that. And Riley Cooper looks like he's put on a couple pounds since last year. So I'm wondering.
What's that Baton Rouge food, Ronnie?
Does Riley Cooper is it too close of a relationship? Is Jay like, hey Riley, I really would like for you to go out there and go run 5 miles on the LSU lakes and get a workout? And he's like, nah, just not feeling that, coach. He's like, okay, it's pretty funny. But speaking of Coach Bertman, though, never one to forget. He's like an elephant. He never forgets. Back when he would send me to go run the 5-mile course from the old box out to go run the LSU lakes, there may have been a time or two or a few where a young Ron Rance would take off from Alec Box, head down Stadium Drive. Remember the old dairy, dairy shop?
Ice cream place. You went in there and got ice cream.
There was a couple times, just like twice, where I went in there, I got an ice cream, I waited on the bench, and then I met the runners on the other side of campus, kind of near like the fraternity houses, and then I would jump into the pack there and then take it in. I'd cut about a half the course off the route, and Coach Bertman, he gets a chuckle out of that now. It wasn't so funny then.
Well, we had a similar route thing at Southeastern. We'd all jump into the library, okay, which wasn't far from the base center field as the crow flies. And we knew Coach was going to look for us in the library, okay? So we'd be in there, and of course we'd go to the little water fountain thing and splash some water, and then we'd catch the guys who really ran on that last lap coming down Thomas Street, whatever that is, into Lion Ball Alumni Field.
The best one was Adrian Antonini, who was a catcher at LSU 91, 92, 93, and then in 1994 he made the switch to closer. And Adrian didn't want to run either. And in 94, when they would go run the 5-mile lakes course, he'd take off from LSU's old Alec Box. Once he got a half a mile or so down the road or whatever on campus, out of the eye of Mike Bianco, who was the kind of the running coach, if you will, back then, to make sure the guys went and ran, he would jump on one of the campus buses and ride the campus buses around for a while, and then time it, and then jump off and get in the back of the pack and run to the end. Well, Mike Bianco must have been tipped by a disgruntled teammate or something, because he got wind of this. And one time when Adrian jumped on the bus, as he's walking to the back of the bus, Mike's sitting there, and he's like, "Hey, Adrian, how's it going?" And Mike Bianco's sitting on the bus waiting for him.
That's priceless. I never heard that one. That's beautiful. And that fits for Antonini, too. So
right.
That's good stuff.
Anyway.
That's really, really – oh, man, that running stuff, though, Ronnie. I told a coach one time, I said, I don't run the ball across the plate, I throw it. So,
right.
But I got to go real quick. I got like 3 weeks left in my senior year, and coach tells me, hey, run 20 foul poles and take it to the clubhouse. They're still practicing, So I'm like, oh, I go out there, I start running, and I start thinking, I got 3 weeks left in my baseball career. I'm not doing 20 poles. So I cut it short, and I go in the clubhouse, and I'm laying around listening to KC and the Sunshine Band and REO Speedwagon, and all of a sudden the coach comes in many hours later, says, hey, TK, how many poles did you do? And I started thinking he might have had a manager count them, or one of the training guys count them. Coach, I don't think I did 20. I need to know how many you did. So, again, I think he could have had somebody count. Like, Coach, I ran 12. He goes, that's good. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, I wanted you to run 10. I figured if I had told you 20, I'd get 10 out of it. I go, damn, I ran too many.
They should have tried that on me. All right, TK, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, Court Street Cafe got some big things coming up. They're going to start a little live music on Saturday night. Starting this coming Saturday, you're going to have live music. You have crawfish. You have steak night. That's a big thing. That's not going to go away. Connect on Facebook and Instagram with Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge, 805 Court Street. Got a nice patio out front when the weather's nice like it is today. So you want to check them out. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week. Sunday is just brunch. But check out Court Street Cafe. Tomorrow's Mardi Gras Day, but they will be open. So if you're not doing the parade thing, stop in and get breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Don't forget LSU Baseball plays a Mardi Gras special 2 o'clock against Southern. The Jags.
Jags won their turn.
Oh, did they? By the way, speaking of the Jags played Grambling in basketball at the All-Star game weekend. It was like the HBCU Classic that the NBA put on at the All-Star game. Grambling beat Southern in overtime in basketball over the weekend, but it was on national TV and all that stuff. So that was great pub for the Jags. So we'll be back on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily. Please like and share this video. Please like and share it. We appreciate it. Happy Mardi Gras to everyone out there. We'll see you on Wednesday.